In the heart of a bustling Nigerian town, where the air was thick with the aroma of frying plantains and boiling pepper soup, stood Mama Osa's food joint. For over 50 years, her cooking had been the pride of the community. People traveled from neighboring villages just to taste her legendary soups, rich with spices and a flavor no one could quite describe. But behind the delicious meals and the laughter of satisfied customers lay a horrifying secret, one that would shake the town to its core. Mama Osa's food had always been different, better. Some said it was a secret blend of herbs, others believed she had a spiritual gift for cooking. But what no one knew was that the secret ingredient wasn't in her spices, it was in her water. Many years ago, during a severe drought, the town's main water source had dried up. Wells ran empty, rivers turned to cracked earth, and businesses suffered. But Mama Osa's joint never closed. Somehow, she always had enough water to cook, and her soups tasted richer than ever. One night, a nosy young man named Tond, a local grave digger, sat in the corner of Mama Osa's shop, watching her. He had always been suspicious. How did she still have water when even the wealthiest families struggled? That night, after the last customer left, he followed her. Hidden in the shadows, he watched as Mama Os lifted the lid off a large clay pot in the back of her shop. Inside was murky, dark water. But something was wrong. It had an unbearable stench, thick and rotten, like something long dead. Holding his breath, Tond crept closer, peering inside. His stomach turned. Floating at the bottom of the pot were strands of hair, pieces of rotting flesh, and something even worse, bones. Human bones. The next morning, Tond gathered a group of men from the town, and together, they stormed Mama Osa's joint. Mama Os, the leader of the group, shouted, "Where do you get your water from?" Mama Os, wiping her hands on her stained akara wrapper, narrowed her eyes. "What kind of foolish question is that?" she barked. Tond stepped forward. "We saw you last night. Show us the water you've been using." The crowd pushed past her, overturning pots, kicking over barrels. Then they found it, the large clay pot hidden behind her shop. The moment they opened it, the stench of decay filled the air. Some of the men gagged. Women screamed. Inside, floating in the thick, foul liquid, was a severed human hand. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, chaos erupted. "You've been cooking with this," a woman shrieked, dropping her bowl of unfinished soup. "I've been eating here for years," another man cried, vomiting onto the ground. The people of the town dragged Mama Os into the street. "Tell us the truth," they demanded. "Where did this water come from?" Shaking, her face contorted with fear, Mama Os finally spoke. The old well behind the slaughterhouse," she whispered. The people ran to the location she had described. When they reached the abandoned well, they lowered a torch inside, and what they saw made their blood run cold. The well was filled with rotting bodies. Some were bones, others were fresh enough to still have faces. It was a mass grave, a dumping ground for the dead. And this was where Mama Os had been drawing her water all these years. The price of her deeds. The town was in an uproar. Some wanted her burned. Others wanted her buried alive. But before they could decide her fate, something strange happened. Mama Os let out a terrible, blood-curdling scream, clutching her stomach. She fell to her knees, gasping for air. Her skin darkened, her veins bulged, and before the crowd's horrified eyes, she began to rot, just like the corpses in the well. The people watched, frozen in fear, as she decayed before them, her flesh peeling away, her eyes sinking into her skull. Within minutes, there was nothing left of Mama Os but a pile of bones, covered in the same black water she had used to cook. From that day forward, no one dared go near the well. Her shop was abandoned, her name cursed. And even years later, when the town had forgotten many things, one saying remained. Never trust a meal that tastes too good to be true.